Hello, everybody. I am Kirk Hill, the host of A Moment's Notice, and this is our first episode. I am very excited to be doing this. This is a new endeavor for me. This is not my first podcast, but this is my first time strictly doing a video podcast, working with YouTube specifically, and just recording my face all the time. This is like pretty big. And I am thankful to be getting started. So, first and foremost, a moment's notice is basically it exists to provide a space. Simply enough. Because it's funny when I was researching on YouTube, I took a class on how to create a podcast and all the things that you need to look for. And the guy said that you're not supposed to look for why. Your stronger motivation needs to be for what, And I didn't get it at first because it's like, what do you mean? Like, for why is the reason? Like, it's the what makes you want to do it, the motivation, the drive, I guess. But then as I started thinking more about it, even this morning, right before I started this, I realized the for what means, like, to what end? Like, what is the point of all of this? Like, you want to do it because you like this, or you want to do it because you want to be on camera, or you want to do it because I like podcasts, or I want to be creative. But like, what is to what end? What is the end goal? What is the thing you wish to achieve with this podcast? And that is my for what, to provide a space for myself, but also for anyone who just needs a relief. Sometimes people just want to like zone out and tune into something that kind of is relaxing and free flowing. And I hope that that's what this is. So for the audience, I want to provide a space, an additional place to go to just listen to somebody be real and thoughtful. I'm not one for big like controversy or like rage bait, or just doing something just cuz, or just because it's like popular, trendy, whatever at the moment. I just follow what moves me, and hopefully the things that I think about, because I do think about a wide range of things. And a lot of my episodes, at least to start, will be things that are applicable to my life, relatable to the things that I go through. But as time goes on, I plan to have, guests occasionally. And even for my guests, the for what it is to provide a space for them. Sometimes people have sides of themselves that they don't always know where they can show that at, because we care a lot about our reputation and how people view us, and which parts of ourselves we can trust with other people. And I hope that because of the type of person I am, I can give them that sense of comfort to be like, when I come here, when I'm just chatting with Kirk, I feel safe. I feel cool. I feel, like I could just kick it. I could just vibe it. It feels like home, and that is what I want. I want this space to feel like home, so that you can just be your most authentic, chill self, and talk about things that you normally wouldn't be able to talk to anywhere else. We could just kick it. We can laugh. We can get real. We can, be upset. We can just We can be nostalgic, if you just want to show off something that you're really good at. Like that's what this place is. And I'm hoping that can be a reality, but it has to start somewhere, and it has to start with me. So this is our first moment, our pilot, if you will, right? And I think today is a good day as any to start. I did not plan on starting this today. I'm very behind, but I find it appropriate that it is this day, this morning, November 15th, because it is the day after my birthday. And I am 31 now, like in my 30s for real. And that is a weird thing because I do genuinely feel it. I can say that certain lifestyles kind of make you more aware of how much you've grown, how much you've aged over time, and just the fact that I am newly married. I have 2 children who are growing, going to school and doing things like that. I have a job that I've been at for 8 years now. Like, it's just the concept of time I'm just always hyper aware of. And I think that this is just a year where I just feel it. And 31 is also like, I'm enjoying my birthday weekend so far. Had a great time yesterday with my wife. We went out, we got massages. Apparently I fell asleep. And then like for a whole 20 minutes, I didn't realize I did that, but that's hilarious to me. And then we went to dinner. We went to Morton's Steakhouse. Morton's Steakhouse is actually really nice. It's really nice. We always go past it when we're in Jersey, shopping at the mall, and Houston's and Morton's, and I think like the Cheesecake Factory. I think all of them are like all in one place. And I've never been to Morton's, and I always wanted to go, but I didn't feel like driving all the way out to Jersey. And then I found out that there was one downtown. So it was cool. It was cool. Going to the restaurant at night, and it was a really nice vibe. Our waitress was amazing. She was very attentive and cared a lot, gave a lot of suggestions about things we should do, how we should eat, and like sides and drinks and all of that. I had me some wine, had me some Sprite, had me some water, the Trinity. It's all you really need. People who know me know that, love my Sprite, love my Moscato. It's just the way that I chill. And the steak was pretty good. Wasn't like the best steak I ever had. Honestly, I think the steak might have been the least amazing part of the place, but everything else was so great. Like the ambiance, the vibe, the service, the salad I enjoyed. The potatoes were really nice. It was just the one I ordered was very cheesy, but it was cool though. I really enjoyed it, and it was just a really nice night. And I'm in a space of gratitude. This year my theme has just been gratitude, just finding things every day to be grateful for, and to find that silver lining between all the bullshit that we go through in life. Because there's days that are just really trying and exhausting and hard. And for a person like me who has generalized anxiety disorder, it's tough to handle all that all the time. And the truth is, I live with a lot of pain. I've had a lot of loss in my life. In the last couple of years, the loss has kind of piled on. And it's one of the reasons why my movement has been different. Just because when you are reminded of the people who aren't on this journey with you anymore, at least in the physical sense, and the people that you would want to have closer to you, but they're not for whatever reason it is. It starts to weigh on you a little more as you get older. And, I want a lot for my life. I want to achieve a lot of great things still, which is, again, in the theme of gratitude, is a good thing. It's a good thing to know that I still feel that way, that I still have that need to want more from my life, to want to grow and become a better person, a better partner, a better father, and just get to a better place in life. The fact that I still want those things is a good thing. But because I want those things, I'm also reminded of like the people who ideally I would like to share that with. And a lot of those people just are not a part of this journey with me anymore. And that's a tough thing to live with. And I always go back and forth about whether I accept that or embrace that, or whether it's just I just move on in spite of knowing that. I don't really know. I can't, grief comes in different forms and you go in and out of different stages. So I don't really know if I've ever 100% reached the acceptance stage of my grief. But it is there. And I'm grateful that I am able to navigate through my grief, especially for the sake of my children, because they need me, and my wife needs me, and I just have to be able to do that. And for myself, I need to know that I can function, because all the people who poured into me in my life, they did those things so that I could thrive and live and be happy and be my best. So, I feel this big sense of responsibility to be that kind of person. And even with that, sometimes I think the weight of that responsibility that I put on myself can be a lot. But it's also, at the same time, the thing that keeps me going. If I didn't feel a sense of like responsibility or debt, even if I didn't feel a sense of like debt to these people, I or to myself, I don't think it would matter as much. And the biggest thing that I can say about me, if you needed to break me down to my core, it's just that I care. I care immensely. I'm very empathetic. And I care about everything. And sometimes that is to my detriment, because, can't do the right thing all the time. Can't please everybody all the time. So when you live like that, and when you're that kind of person, you kind of always feel like you're failing. You kind of always feel like you're letting somebody down somehow, in some way, some shape or form. And when you care, you want to fix that. You want to like, how can I do that? How can I do that? How can I do that? And then you're just kind of all over the place. And I feel that in my life a lot. I feel myself being a little all over the place. And I want to work on slowing down. I want to work on just taking a break and taking a breath and just being like, all right, what can you do in this moment? What can you control in this moment? And just do that. And then the next step will present itself as you go on. So I'm trying my best to live that way. I like to plan out things. And I try to stick to that plan, but it is very hard because the variables of life shift you off from the plan. So then you're like, all right, well, I wanted to do this today, but then this happened. So now I'm playing catch up. And then it goes back to that thing, like that feeling of like, damn, I have to catch up. It sucks because there was a time in my life where I do feel like I was on it. Like probably about, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago now, there was like this stretch of time in my life where like I said I wanted to do something and I did it. And it was just like there was no block. There was no feeling of being off. And even if I was off, it didn't bother me as much for some reason. Like I could just be like, all right, I'm cool. I got it. And I can pivot and make it work. And I was doing that. And I think, like I said, when life hit, and I was going through a lot of stuff with my family, and like changes in my family were going on at that time. I think that feeling, because I was in that long period of grief, it put me behind in a lot of ways. And I think ever since I've been feeling like this sense of like, again, trying to catch up. But I think I need to stop doing that and just be like, all right, this is where we are now, and not compare myself to who I thought I was going to be 5 years ago, and just be like, well, now that's not it. And that's not who you are. It's not where you are. Now you're here and you're you, and you're still you, even though it's not the you intended to be. And now it's like, with this new version of you, how can you grow? How can you move? How can you navigate your life? And just kind of start over. And there's been a lot of things, a lot of lessons that I've learned over life, a lot over time in my life, and things that I've thought of that make me kind of reevaluate myself. I talk with my hands, so just be prepared for that with this podcast. It's gonna be a lot of this going on, a lot of this, thinking here. It's just how I talk. So I remember, and I talked to my cousin Daniel about this a lot, because we kind of keep each other afloat mentally. We check in on each other a lot. He was the best man at my wedding, so I really appreciate you, Daniel. But we were talking because he be going through things, and we be trying to give each other advice. And I was like, I realized, I'm very vision driven, right? So when I was in college, my theater teacher, she taught us about theater management and about like different organizations. And she always taught us, and it always stuck with me. She said, for an organization to succeed, you need both a mission and a vision. Now, the vision is like, again, the for what? Like, what is the point of this? The end goal. What do you hope to achieve with this organization? That's the vision. But the mission is what you are committed to doing each day to achieve that vision. And she told us that there are people in life who are mission driven, and there are people in life who are vision driven. And I remember she joked about it. She was like, that's why I divorced my first husband, because he was vision driven, and I'm very mission driven. I just, day to day, I like to do things. And this nigga was a dreamer. Like, and it was so funny, but like, it's true. That's how people are. And I believe that I am a very vision driven person. I am motivated by the to what end, the big thing, where I want to be. And I'm not good at the things I do each day to get me to that point. At least not anymore. There was a time in my life where I kind of was. I was working on it, and I'm committed to working on that now, which is why I've been doing my 90 days of productivity from October till the end of the year. And it's been working. I'm not as great at it as I'd like to be, but it's a start. I do feel a difference in these past in this time of 90 days, I do feel a difference between this time and how I was earlier in the year. I do feel a lot more, and I see myself slowly doing more things that if I had stayed the way I was, I probably would have never got to it. So in that sense, I am growing, and I have to understand that I'm on my own pace with a lot of things, and that's cool. So, you learn as you go along. And another thing that I've been thinking about a lot, because there is a lot of these big projects that I want to do. I've been thinking about how I can pitch this stuff to the people that I want to work with me. And a lot of times people need examples and what's the word? Analogies, right? To kind of like help make it make more sense. And one of the biggest analogies that I've been using is sports. I think the whole concept of like sports teams and sports organizations and franchises and stuff, the way that they operate in cycles, and it makes sense. And it has allowed me to have a much more focused view on my life, and it kind of helps me. So, you know, in organizations, team organizations, obviously there's a time when you're in contention for a title. There's a time when you're like, you've got the championship and you're just in a dynasty era where like you're just maintaining and just being consistently great. And then there are times when you're tanking, you blow up the team, you do rebuild, and you just starting from scratch. And that is the cycle that teams go on, and life is very much that way. There's times in your life where you're in contention. You're working, you're grinding, people notice you. They're like, you're not there yet, but I see you. You're working. You're always in the conversation for like, you can be great. You can do this. You can achieve it. You can win the chip. Then there's a time when you've already done it. I've made it. I've achieved this thing. I'm doing my thing, and you're just maintaining, and you're in your dynasty era of your life where you're just, I'm at the top, and I love it here, and I'm doing good. Then things change. People retire. People age. They get different. Trades happen. Whatever it may be. But then fall off that cliff, and now you're in a stage of rebuild, and people are in that stage in life where they're like, yo, all right, whatever I was doing, this ain't working now. We're not going for a chip this year. This is not a year where we are contending. This is a year where we're just building. We're just getting things together, and we putting up the pieces and setting it up so that we can contend in the future. And I think that's where I am in my life right now. I think I'm in rebuild because a lot of things have happened in my life, new things, exciting things. And because of those things, my identity is a little different. I can't move the way I did when I was younger. And for better or worse, like I'm not 21 anymore. I'm not 23 anymore. I'm not 25. I'm not 27. So the way that I thought about life, the way that I navigated life at that time in my life, I can't still be like, I can still do this the way I wanted to do it then. I probably can't. And that's okay. I'm just in a different stage. And because I have different people around me and different goals now, the way I move, I need a new system. And again, same with sports franchises. Like, coaches are cool up to a certain point. And then we realize, the way we've been doing this ain't working no more. We need a new coach. We need a new defensive coordinator. We need a new offensive coordinator. Sometimes you need a new general manager. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have different people around you in a different system to help you succeed in the way that you need. And sometimes, at this point in our life, what we needed was a point guard, or we needed a really strong center, or we needed a real good veteran, or we need a new rookie. Like, whatever you need, you have to adjust to the different needs at the different points of your cycle that you're on. And that's what I'm figuring out. And it's just helped me have a greater grasp of all of this. So I think, I'm optimistic for where I go from here. And truthfully, that's why I did this. I needed to make a brand new channel. I needed to start fresh, because I've done podcasts in the past, and I liked doing this like continuing thing. Like one thing led to another thing, led to another thing, and it was all like one long timeline. And I do not want that. This is not a spinoff of anything I've done in the past. What that was cool for the time in my life that I had it, and I'm grateful for it, and I loved it. And I go back and listen to my old podcast all the time. I go back and watch old videos of the show I used to do with my cousins, like all the time, because it's just cool to go back and see where I was. And I think differently. I move differently. So like, I don't want this to be a reflection of where that is. Now, yes, it's all me in my life. Like I'm continuing, but this is a new phase, and I want this to reflect that. And again, that's why this podcast is called A Moment's Notice, because the way my life moves, there will be changes in my life that I don't see coming, and you just have to move. Life hits you at a moment's notice. Changes happen at a moment's notice, good and bad. And the point is to find a way to navigate through those moments and to figure out who you're going to be as each moment comes. So I couldn't think of any better title than that. And this process will be a very stress-free process. I will upload an episode whenever the moment feels right for it. If I want a guest to come on and then the guest can't make it, then we're not doing it. And I'm not going to feel mad. I'm not going to feel disappointed. We will make it when the moment calls for it. When the moment is right, it will happen. I remember saying that about church. Every time I go to church, I always feel like I'm at church when I'm supposed to be at church, because every time I go, I feel the message that week that I'm there. And if I don't make it to church, I just feel like that wasn't the week I was meant to be at church. And because I feel so secure in my relationship with God that I don't necessarily feel I always need to be there. But that's just my personal thing. And that's a religion thing. We could do that in another episode. But I just feel I am guided to different moments in life. God directs me to a moment, and God will bring a moment in my life and be like, all right, Kirk, this is the moment. What are you going to do? Are you going to rise to the occasion? Will you step up? My mom and my dad always tell me like, oh, Kirk, you got it. God doesn't give you anything more than what you can handle. So if this is what it is, this is your time. And I'm okay with that. It's tough, but I am okay with that. So yeah, I just kind of went in talking. I don't even know if I really introduced myself for real. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Kirk Hill Jr. I've lived in Harlem my whole life. I have a lovely wife, Lenora. I have 2 children, and I love them very much. I currently sing. I write. I try to act when I can. And, I have a job. I mean, my job. I do that too. But I do sing with the Manhattans of Sunny Bivens, and that's been a great experience. I'm hoping that it can lead to my own, solo career. I have made my own music in the past. Nothing big, nothing's on Spotify or anything like that, but I have a SoundCloud, and I've done stuff, and I've made music videos and stuff like that. So it's cool, and I want to continue that and grow with that. I was a theater major. I went to North Carolina A&T, proud Aggie, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I have a podcast on Spotify, Phil and Hill. That was my previous podcast. Originally, it was called The Hill Review, and then I had a co-host, so we changed the name. So feel free to check those out whenever you get a chance, and become a part of this. This channel is Platform Presents, but really it's just the platform, and I just wanted to create a new channel, a new network, to reflect where I am now and reflect what I want, which is to provide the platform for people to feel safe, to feel right at home, to be their most authentic selves. And that is what I hope to achieve. But we start here, flagship podcast, A Moment's Notice. Thank you for joining me for my first episode. I'm very excited for where we can go. I know I keep saying that, but I am. I'm very excited for where this can go. I'm excited for our next episode, whenever that may be. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you again at a moment's notice.